Director of the Portland Housing Bureau, and Court O'Haver, the President and CEO of Umpqua Bank, who will be representing the Oregon Bankers Association. So with that, we'll bring Mayor Ted Wheeler up here to start.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. Let me cut right to the chase and tell you why I called this press conference. Right now, even as we speak, thousands upon thousands of Portlanders are in fear of losing everything they have. And Portlanders need to know they're not alone. The city, along with our county and state and federal and private sector partners, we're working around the clock to make sure that we provide both immediate and long-term relief. I can't begin to tell you how proud I am of Portlanders and the way they've responded to this crisis and the way they've partnered to help stop the spread of COVID-19. And it's been incredible seeing our entire city erupt in applause at 7 p.m. to thank our frontline workers for the hard work that they're doing. Our nurses, our doctors, the people who are stocking and working in our grocery stores, the people who are providing delivery, customer service folks, maintenance folks, custodial staff, thank you to all of you for making this city continue to work even during this crisis. We're acting with a great sense of purpose and with urgency to this crisis. So I want to thank each and every person who stepped forward. How can I be of help? Here's a quick recap of how the city took aggressive and early action. It started with a declaration of a state of emergency, then a moratorium on evictions to help renters. Then I personally advocated with banks and lenders to help landlords and building owners because they have mortgages too, and we don't want to lose housing providers in our city. My bureau directors also acted very quickly and deferred rent payments on all of our commercial retail tenants on city property for the next 3 months. And most recently, I'm proud that our city council worked in a collaborative manner together, and we unanimously approved $3 million in emergency funding for our COVID-19 response. This money will be used for small business relief as well as the city's emergency response. But I want to be clear, this is just the beginning. Today, we have a couple of big announcements, including the launch of our own Small Business Relief Fund. Small businesses have the opportunity through this fund to apply for funding in the form of grants or low to no interest loans as these business hardships continue due to the new public health requirements to contain the spread of COVID-19. We all know this. Portland is a small business town. Most people in this community are employed by small businesses, and these businesses define who we are as a city. So I'm grateful that we have partners like Umpqua Bank who are stepping up in big ways to stabilize business and provide immediate relief in our community. When COVID really started impacting our community, we convened a coalition of nearly 100 institutions, banks, and others in our community who said, we're all in, Portland, we're all in, and we're going to work together to figure out how to help each other out during this time of crisis. This is what I think makes our city one of the most amazing cities anywhere in the world. This is a city where no one has to be alone and where we have each other's backs. And so, with that, let me introduce our next speaker, Tori Campbell. He's the Director of Economic Development for Prosper Portland. That's, of course, the city's economic development agency, to talk about what they've been up to have your back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Wheeler. When the mayor issued a state of emergency on March 12th, he asked us to take immediate action to begin supporting local businesses and employees. To date, this has included providing $150,000 to help small businesses in the Jade, District, and API community, prioritizing disadvantaged communities that have felt the impact of COVID-19 first. Those grant dollars have now been announced. 31 businesses in the Jade District and Old Town Chinatown will receive those funds. We've offered rent deferrals to city and Prosper Portland commercial tenants, as well as loan payment deferrals. We've established the 823-4000, the city's information line, as a means to connect Portland businesses and employees to resources. We've convened the Portland COVID-19 Economic Intervention and Impact Task Force, which advises collaborative economic stabilization and recovery interventions. And we've advocated for flexibility in unemployment insurance and resources for businesses and nonprofits from our state and federal partners. This morning, as the mayor has stated, we are launching the Small Business Relief Fund, which was launched at 9 a.m. this morning. The goal of the fund is to help provide interim relief to impacted businesses and to enable them to retain their businesses and employees. The fund is a critical stopgap to provide relief and aid for many qualified businesses as possible in the city, as possibly as we can to help with critical funding until state and federal funds are made available. There have been three guiding principles that have informed the development of the Portland Small Business Startup Relief Fund, as well as other economic interventions. Prioritizing the most vulnerable, which means applying a racial equity lens, acting quickly, leveraging existing networks as well as assets, and making a difference through action, partnership, and advocacy. The City of Portland's $2 million investment in loans and grants will be funded as follows. $1 million from the City of Portland's General Fund for grants to small businesses. The grants will range between $2,000 and $10,000. And $1 million from Prosper Portland's Enterprise Zone Fund for up to $50,000 zero-interest loans. The small businesses that meet the established criteria now have the opportunity to apply for funding through the Small Business Relief Fund. You can simply go to prosperportland.us/relief. The $1 million that the City Council allocated to the grant program of the Small Business Relief Fund enables us to support approximately 200 local businesses. The Small Business Relief Fund will be prioritized towards businesses that have significantly been impacted by the crucial COVID-19 public health requirements, businesses owned by people that particularly are vulnerable to the impact of economic recessions, including Black, Indigenous, Asian-Pacific Islander, people of color, and women. Businesses whom resources will help them stay in businesses, as well as businesses that continue to keep employees or continue to provide their employees with health care or other insurances. Using the priority and votability criteria, Prosper Portland will manage the application and selection process of the relief fund. Our community development financial institutions partners will process grant payments once the applications are selected. Our CDFI partners are Mercy Corps Northwest, Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon, and Craft 3, who all have existing grant and loan infrastructure in place and have extensive experience working with local small businesses. We expect selected businesses should start receiving grant funds as early as Friday, April 10th. And our loan program will open soon. Lastly, we want to acknowledge the leverage of collaboration and the creativity that has gone into the development of the fund. I want to again thank Mayor Wheeler, as well as the City Council for their leadership, the Board of Commissioners and the team at Prosper Portland, led by our Executive Director, Kimberly Branham, our CDFI partners, Mercy Corps Northwest, MISO, and Craft 3, as well as our partners at the Oregon Community Foundation, who have raised funds from the philanthropic community, and our partners at the Portland Business Alliance, as well as the Oregon Bankers Association and its members. An economic development agency as well, staffers in Seattle, San Francisco, and New York, who have provided and guided tremendous ideas and thought partnership along the way in both the development and the deployment of many of our economic stabilization strategies today. Watching everyone come together in the pursuit of a common goal of supporting our critical small business economy has been inspiring, and it serves as a clear reminder that we truly are stronger together. At this time, I'd like to invite up the Director of the Portland Housing Bureau, Shannon Callahan, with a few remarks.
Good morning. Shannon Callahan of the Portland Housing Bureau. We know that many families and individuals are experiencing a substantial loss of income as a result of the current
to this fund. I'd also like to recognize JP Morgan Chase, US Bank, Wells Fargo, B of A, KeyBank, and Columbia for their additional contributions. At a time when so many across our region are experiencing unprecedented financial disruptions, it's more important than ever that small businesses know Portland's broader business community stands behind them. We're all in this together, and Umpqua and all of the Oregon state charter banks are here to help. Thanks again.
We've got some time for questions here. I'm going to do an audio check, though. We've been having issues. Can you go ahead and fire up the...
Hey, Tim?
Yes. Is this Rosemary?
Okay, so what's happening is when a reporter comes on in the middle of the press conference, it's not being muted out. So if they're listening to something else, we're all hearing what they're listening to, plus them signing in. And that's muting out the speaker.
Okay.
So what should I do?
I think
Maybe everybody could put their phones on mute if
Okay.
they're not talking.
Well, we do
right.
have... We have
That
time.
would be helpful. This way, we can hear who's speaking, especially now at the question and answer part.
Okay. Well, we do have time for questions at this point. So let's start with some reporters that are in the room. Anybody have a question that's in the room? Yeah. Rebecca? So, Court, come on up.
So the $750,000 will be pooled with the community economic funds, and then a $75,000 and $675 of that will go into the community economic funds, and then $75,000 as a grant. The balance of the money coming from the banks, I believe, and I don't know exactly, I think is in the grant funds. Okay.
All right, thank you, Court. Any other questions in the room here? Okay, let's go to the phones. Yeah, let's go to the phones now. Let's start with Rosemary from KXL.
Okay. My question is for people having a household where they're paying a mortgage. What relief is being offered for mortgage holders on their home?
I think everybody heard that question. What relief is being offered for mortgage holders on their home? Shannon?
The federal government has actually announced a postponement and deferral of loans that are federally covered, federally held loans. That covers approximately 60 to 70% of mortgage holders nationally. We are also working at the city and county on, with our federal partners on a further package related to mortgage relief more broadly on the national level. We also know that local banks and credit unions are working with individual mortgage holders. We would urge anyone with an issue with their mortgage to immediately contact their mortgage holder as soon as possible, and we'll be following up with more information as it's available.
All right, thank you, Shannon. Portland Monthly, do you have a question? KGW is on the phone. We have a reporter with a question from KGW. You're still on mute? Nope. Should be working. Alex, Portland Mercury.
Yeah, I have a question. I may have missed it because the audio was cutting out a bit when Shannon was speaking, but
Okay.
I'd like to know a little bit more about the Household Stabilization Fund, how that will be divvied out and how folks can apply for it.
So she'd like to know more about the Household Stabilization Fund and how that works. Shannon?
Good morning, Alex. Thank you for the question. We are looking to use our existing provider network of short-term rental assistance providers, and we will be making announcements on how people can access those funds more broadly. I will say, though, that the funds are able to support 1,800 to 2,000 families, and we know that there is a greater need than that in the community. I would also ask that anyone who's having any issues presently reach out to our social service hotline, which is in the region 211. They can help more broadly either with this fund or other funds that may be available for energy assistance or other support. Thank you, Alex.
Nigel Jaquist with the Willamette Week. You out there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Sorry, could you repeat, could somebody repeat that? So we know there's this $1 million that the window opened for today from Prosper. The audio was really hard to understand. Is there additional matching money from the banks or something like that? I couldn't pick up what the $750,000 that somebody mentioned is for.
Okay, we'll have Tori answer that.
Morning, Nigel. So yes, the initial $1 million, which supports the Small Business Relief Fund, the grant fund, that has been made available today. The banks, as you've heard, are going to also provide an additional pot of funds. We do know this morning that Umpqua has articulated that it's going to be $750,000 of which they're investing. $75,000 of that will go into the grant fund, so the Small Business Relief Fund, and then the additional dollars there will be set aside for our loan program, which will be coming online in the coming days. We also know that additional banks have also made commitments to also invest into the Small Business Relief Fund, and we will get those numbers here just soon. That's upwards to $1 million is what we were being told by Andrew Holm. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks.
If I could add something to that, Nigel, thank you for the question. I want to be very clear. This is what we are doing right now. This is the urgency that we're expressing. This is not everything we're doing. We're working on a number of these issues right now. We're thinking about ways that we can expand the opportunities. And I want to be clear, this is not inclusive of either state or federal resources that will also be coming our way. So we just want people to know we're acting now with urgency. This is just the start. Thank you, Nigel.
Nigel, do you have another question? Are you good? Okay.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. KPTV has called in, I'm told. Any other questions? We've got a couple more minutes. If there are any other questions out there. Okay, sounds like we're done. I will be, oh, Rebecca has a question. Okay.
Yeah, hey, I got a question too.
Okay, we'll have Rebecca go first, and then we'll get to you. The question has to do with people not being able to pay their rent, and I couldn't quite hear you, but
I heard
you heard it? Okay. Shannon, can you repeat the question?
Good morning. So the reason that we're trying to get people information out about how the eviction moratorium works is so they can make sure to avail themselves of that protection. So they do need to notify their landlord in advance or on the day that their rent is due, and it must be due to a loss of income due to the COVID epidemic. I would urge folks to go to our website, and I would also urge the media to start to distribute this information so people don't end up in a catch-22 situation. We have sample letters that people can distribute to the landlord and FAQs, as well as information put together by Legal Aid of Oregon. So if you could help us get that information out, we'd be most grateful. You know, for now, they need to put together the letter to their landlord to notify them, and then there is a list of potential options of things that they could show. So it could be related to childcare, it could be related to additional excessive costs related to the epidemic, it could be job loss, which is unfortunately what we're seeing all too much right now.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, on the phone. You have a question? K2?
Yes. This is Keaton with K2 News.
Okay, Keaton.
I'm just curious, assuming I'm talking right now, if there is an assumption that we might need to revisit some of these policies a couple of months from now if there is more to do or more is needed. Like, is the city of Portland prepared to do more if needed down the road?
Is the city prepared to do more if needed down the road?
There's no question that if necessary, the city of Portland is prepared to act. We're prepared to do more. I cannot underscore enough, this is our immediate action, this is our urgent action, but this isn't all of our action. We'll of course have our own budgetary considerations going forward on one hand. On the other hand, we expect to receive sizable support from the federal stimulus package, and I want to thank our 2 U.S. senators in particular, Senator Ron Wyden and Senator Jeff Merkley, for their advocacy for the state of Oregon and the city of Portland in their negotiations in the U.S. Senate. So we do expect both state funding and federal funding to come to the city of Portland, and we hope that will give us the opportunity to expand what we're doing, both in terms of household relief, rental relief, mortgage relief, as well as relief for our small business owners and operators. It's a little too early right now to tell exactly how those resources will come to us and how they can be used, but I fully expect that we'll have to do more. This is just the beginning of this economic downturn.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
Can I put in one plug
Okay.
before you end it?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, I want to put in one plug, Portland. Every night in my neighborhood at 7 p.m. since Friday, people have been out there, including myself, banging on pots and pans, cheering, hollering, and supporting our frontline workers. If you've been to a grocery store lately and you see how tired the people look who are working there, it's because they've been working around the clock to stock the shelves, to make sure that you and I have enough food to eat even during this crisis. The same certainly holds true for all of our healthcare workers, our nurses, our doctors. There's a lot of people outside driving trucks, people providing delivery services. They're exhausted, but they're doing the job to make sure that the supply chain stays open. And all of these buildings, they may be vacant, but there's still people cleaning them, there's still people maintaining them. Customer service lines have never been busy, and many, many other people who are in essential jobs who are working really, really hard on behalf of all of us. So let's give them a little enthusiasm. Let's show them our love and our support and our gratitude for the work they're doing. So I hope you will join me at 7 p.m. every night outside, shout, holler, clap. Some guy was playing a trumpet the other day, which was really cool. I saw somebody with a ukulele. I'm working on that skill myself. Yes, it can be a little embarrassing standing in front of your house banging on a pot and a pan, but you will be joined, I promise you. So let's get out there and let's show some enthusiasm for Portland. Thank you all.
And thank you for that. It's hashtag PDX thanks you, by the way, in terms of a hashtag. My wife did drag me out in front of our house the other night. We were the only ones in the neighborhood, but it's got to start somewhere, right? So we got that plug in. I want to thank everybody for attending today, for calling in today. I will be pushing out a press release that has a few more numbers and kind of breaks things down a little bit better for you. Again, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Court, thank you. Appreciate it. Someday I'll shake your hand.
Yeah, we will someday.
It's the least I could do.
That's all good.
Thank you, Shannon.